So the hardest thing as a sports bettor is identifying bets that actually truly have an edge, a mathematical advantage, and are going to make money long term. So in this video, I'm super excited about it. 95% of sports bettors lose money, but this strategy is insanely profitable. If you place a few thousand bets with this strategy, you don't need a software. You can do this on your own as well, but this is going to set you up for the best chance of success. So what I'm going to be breaking down in this video is crossed market plus EV betting. This is the most profitable and the main betting strategy I use nowadays. Obviously, I've been betting on sports for 7 years now. I've used tons of different strategies, but this strategy I truly believe is the best strategy for all sports bettors to use, okay? It's called crossed market plus EV betting, and OddsJam has a new tool for it called Sharp Money. So I hope you find this video useful. If you have any questions about the strategy, the math, the logic, you don't need to be a math grad to use this strategy. All you have to do is watch this video. You'll understand why this, works so well and is so profitable. So crossed market plus EV betting, let's get into it. However, what we do need to start with is going through very briefly the core of cross market plus EV betting and also just markets, arbitrage. So when I started trading, I used to be a quant at SIG. The first thing they teach you about is arbitrage. Not necessarily because the trading strategies you're going to be using are going to be arbitrage, but because it's very important to understanding market dynamics and how to make money as a trader. Sports betting is very similar to trading. So arbitrage is a financial term, but it's very simple. It just means, because all sports books set their own unique odds, arbitrage just means two books are so out of sync that you can play equal and opposite outcomes and guarantee a risk-free profit. So you can see in this example on Whitmore, he was able to bet his over on one book, his under on a different book, because these two books were so out of sync, and make approximately $50 risk-free. You can see the math on the screen. So it sounds a little too good to be true, but this is risk-free money, right? There's millions of odds across sports books. Most of these odds and lines are not arbitrage opportunities, right? You're looking for the needles in the haystack for the sports books you use, where one book is so out of sync with another book, you can essentially hedge or day trade the books to ensure or guarantee a risk-free profit. That's arbitrage betting. So obviously there's a lot of people who don't want variance, they don't want ups and downs, so they solely arbitrage bet, they solely make risk-free profits, and that's great for them. I started sports betting with arbitrage. I think it's a great strategy, but it is nowhere near as profitable over the long run compared to cross-market EV betting. Arbitrage is kind of like investing in bonds, right? Very low risk, but you're getting a lower return. Whereas cross-market EV betting, the main strategy I use, like last month in August, I made over 50 grand, but I still had days down over 5K. So when you are cross-market EV betting, there's going to be variance, but it all starts with arbitrage. So again, if two books are so out of sync, let's say FanDuel and DraftKings, that you can bet on equal and opposite outcomes to ensure a profit, one sports book is making a mistake. One of the two bets has to be a plus EV bet, right? A mathematically profitable, positive ROI bet. You can't have the ability to place two bets and make a risk-free profit if neither bet is plus EV or profitable. It's kind of like as a trader, the example they gave me when I was a quant at SIG is if you could buy something at $10 on E-Trade, sell it at $11 on Fidelity, one of those trades has to be profitable. You don't necessarily have to do both, buy at 10, sell at 11 to make $1 risk-free, but you should do one of those trades because one of those trades obviously has an edge. So it's the same thing in sports betting. Whenever there's an arbitrage opportunity, one of the bets is a profitable bet. All you have to do, and you have 100% confidence in that, every time you are looking at an arbitrage opportunity, either the over or the under. One side of the ARB opportunity is a mathematically profitable plus EV bet. All you have to do is decide which side is the play that has insane value. So how do you do that? And that's where OddsJam's Sharp Money or cross market plus EV tool comes into play. So what this tool does is it's very simple, right? When there's an arbitrage opportunity between a stupid sports book, also known as a soft book, an easily beatable sports book like FanDuel, DraftKings, Fliff, Rebet I'm up over $60,000 on, right? These are soft, easily beatable sports books. And then there's hard to beat sports books, sharp sports books. If you ask ChatGPT, what are the sharpest, smartest sports books, the most efficient betting markets, the books that are hardest to beat, you're going to see Circa, Pinnacle, as well as the betting exchanges. So basically, if there's an arbitrage opportunity between a stupid book like Rebet and a smart book like Pinnacle or Novig, you are almost positive, but you're basically positive, every single time I'm betting the Rebet side, right? If Rebet is arbitrage to Novig, Novig's a very sharp betting exchange, which we're going to get to in a sec. The value is almost certainly the mathematically profitable plus EV bet. It's not going to be on Novig, the really sharp, hard to beat sports book. Novig is amazing for arbitrage betting, but it's pretty hard to beat in terms of EV betting. The value is going to be on the Rebet side. So basically what cross-market EV betting is you're using market data. What are the sharp sports books saying to identify value, to exploit these soft sports books? And it works for DFS too, like Prize Picks, like Underdog Fantasy, like FanDuel, like DraftKings, like Fanatics, BetMGM, Hard Rock, BetRivers, BetParks. Those are all very soft sports books. So I'll give you a simple example of a play that I bet from the OddsJam cross-market EV tool. And it is between Rebet, a very dumb book, and Novig, a very sharp book. So Novig and ProfitX are the two main betting exchanges, okay, in the US. So betting exchanges means peer-to-peer, right? You're not betting against the house, so you'll never get limited on Novig. They have no limits, no max bet sizes. You could be up $1 billion profit on Novig. They're still going to let you bet as much as you want. It's peer-to-peer. But the thing you're missing about these peer-to-peer exchanges, or some people are missing, is you're not betting against your neighbor, right? In general, the people offering liquidity, setting lines on these betting exchanges, right, because there's no limits, they're sports betting syndicates, they're trading firms like Citadel Securities. Extremely smart people, hedge funds, investment banks. Those are the people offering you liquidity, right? Again, you do want to make sure, sometimes you can bet against your friends on Novig, whatever, but 99% of the time, the people setting lines are going to be very sharp, very informed flow. So I'll give you a simple example. Here was an arbitrage opportunity between Novig and Rebet. Rebet had Rico to score at plus 275. Novig had his under at minus 268 with $25,000 in liquidity. You could bet on him to not score at minus 268. Anyone in the world could bet this for literally $25,000, a massive bet size, a very liquid market. That is not your neighbor, That is a trading firm. That is a very sharp person who is setting that line, who is offering that market. So we know one of these two bets has to be plus EV or profitable. Rebet's a book I'm up 60K on. I could just arbit. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to actually bet that much on Rebet. Most sports books are not going to let you bet on a touchdown score thousands of dollars, but you could arbitrage bet it, make a risk-free profit. If you fully arbitrage bet it, which no one's going to be able to do, but for the sake of example, you'd be able to make $175 risk-free profit. So one of those two plays is profitable, and we know the value is on the Rebet side. That play coming in on Novig is a data point, is betting volume that we're using to recognize value on Rebet and exploit it. So I bet it. And this happens literally every single time I use the cross-market plus EV tool. Not actually every single time, but you can see for Saints spread, got it off the cross-market tool. Guess what? They're already offering me a positive cash out. So Rebet only let me bet like 115 bucks on Rico, but I could already cash out and just make $20 in guaranteed profit, which is insane if you think about it, because again, the value is always going to be on the soft book side. I'm not going to cash out. Cash outs are almost always negative EV, not profitable. You'd rather let the bet ride, but just for the sake of example, this is an example of a play that I got off the OddsJam Sharp Money or the OddsJam Cross Market plus EV betting tool. So, without further ado, what I did want to do is kind of get into a little screen share and show you exactly how I use this tool every single day to exploit the sports books and make money. So I'd like to give you a little live demo. How do you use this for DFS sites? How do you use it for sports books? It's very simple to use, very easy to use, and I want to give you a full tutorial so you know how to use it. If you want to give it a try, there's a 7-day free trial. You can check it out. You can see if you make money with it. The only thing I really want to stress to you is, again, you're going to have variance. This is positive EV betting. You are not arbitrage betting and making a risk-free profit. So you're going to have some ups and downs. So place a large sample size of bets. Don't place 4 bets. Place 400 over the course of a weekend, because especially on Saturday and Sundays, and especially once the NBA starts, oh my gosh, this tool is going to be absolutely popping with value. So here you can see the OddsJam cross market plus EV tool, or sharp money tool. And all you have to do is essentially add in all the different sports books you want to look at. I have a few pulled up. So you can see right here, this is the first play that I got locked in. Brian Robinson to score a touchdown at plus 700. Again, it's not a guaranteed win. Everything is about having a long-term focus. Cross-market plus EV betting, it's the main thing I use for sports books. WinBet, unfortunately, now out of business. Fliff, like all of these soft sports books and DFS sites, this is the go-to strategy that you need to be using. It's the main way I make money. But anyways, we have Brian Robinson to score a touchdown at plus 700. You can see on Novig, they have 3.5K, a ton of liquidity. That is a sharp market maker, a trading firm offering those lines. They have 3.5K in liquidity at minus 694. ProfitX is close behind it at minus 707. Plus 700 minus 694 is an arbitrage opportunity. So that's what I got locked in. And basically, I can just filter in a bunch of sports books. So I use Better, I use Underdog, I use Dabble, and let's kind of see where the value is. So here's another play. Again, OddsJam is super easy to use. Even on sports books, you're limited on. So BetMGM is a sports book I made probably like 40K on, 50K, something like that. And then they limited me. But if I just click on OddsJam, it takes me right to the bet. Let's see how much they'll actually take, because usually it's not that great. But even on these limited sports books, they're going to take $74. I mean, it's 2 button clicks. It's not that bad to lock in a super sharp play. So you can see here on the sharp money tool, right? Bills minus 8 on ProfitX is plus 108 odds with a ton of liquidity, right? Almost 6.8K. So higher liquidity is better. You have a higher confidence in your edge, and OddsJam filters for the highest liquidity cross market bets first. So this is a super good play. And again, if you wanted to, I'm not saying you want to, but just to prove to you, ProfitX, a very hard sportsbook to beat, nearly impossible through EV betting. It's great for arbitrage betting. There are spots where you can make money EV betting, but it's very difficult. So if I go here, right, minus 105 for equal and opposite outcomes, Bills minus 8, plus 108, Patriots plus 8, minus 105. So if I bet $100 or whatever on MGM, I could go over to ProfitX, bet 93.86, make a risk-free profit. So one of these 2 bets has to be profitable. BetMGM is a very soft and easily beatable sports book. So that's the book with value. And essentially all I do is I just kind of fly through these. So I already bet Patriots plus 8. There's another cross market on Patriots plus 7.5. Maybe BetMGM will take another, they'll take another 46.94 or whatever. So, okay, I can get that locked in. Now I have a second profitable, or a third bet profitable bet locked in. Minus 115, plus 116, crossed market, a ton of liquidity, 3K. So I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to get rid of this previous bet on the Patriots, and I'm going to lock in Wyoming. Obviously, you can also do parlays. Like, for this play, it doesn't even make sense. They give me only $269. Made too much money on this book, but it kind of is what it is. But essentially, that's all I'm doing, right? Mac Jones, over 4.5 rushing yards. That's for tonight. Cross market, minus 102 on the over, plus 103 on the under. How much will FanDuel let me bet? $510. This is all I'm doing all day long. I can lock in like 30 of these plays very quickly. Now, what I will say, here's another great touchdown score on MGM. I mean, there's just a lot of opportunity, So we'll bet this on Mac Jones. But what I did want to say is you can also use this for DFS books. So you can also use this for DFS books. So let me actually filter out sports books for a sec and just put in better prize picks, because this is how I build my DFS slips. Underdog Fantasy, Dabble is another DFS book I use. So here, basically, this looks like a crazy good play. You have Javonte Williams. Both of these plays look really good on prize picks. Javonte Williams under 17.5. So basically on prize picks, when you go through the math, I've done a ton of videos about underdog, prize picks, kind of the math behind them. But for example, on Underdog Fantasy, for a 6-pick flex play, you are getting... Why is no underdog value, I guess, right now? That's strange. Usually underdog is one of the easiest sports books to beat. But no value on underdog today. So, okay, kind of is what it is. Very strange, but no complaints. So basically, or maybe I have it filtered out. Let's see. So sometimes I'll accidentally filter out a sports book, which I don't. Why do I have it filtered out? I did have it filtered out. I apologize. And Dabble, maybe? Yeah, I did. Man, that's not good. I can't be filtering out these super profitable books. What are you doing, Alex? So you can see there's some plays on Dabble, some more plays now. But basically, on prize picks, okay, so on prize picks, any 3-pick entry, you're getting a 6x payout. So if you go through the math behind prize picks, you'll see that 5-pick entries are optimal and they break down to minus 119 odds. I've done tutorial videos on this. The same way underdog, the optimal slip is a 6-pick entry. And again, when you go through all the math, I've done a ton of videos on it. They're basically giving you minus 116 juice for any play on the board. So essentially on prize picks for a 5-pick entry, any play you bet, like Nick Folk over under 7.5 kicking points, you should assume you're getting minus 119 odds. It doesn't matter if you take the over or the under. There's no odds on prize picks. However, right now on this cross market tool, you know, there's only one MLB game left tonight and unfortunately one NFL game. I wish there were more. Is on prize picks for a 3-pick entry, they're giving you minus 122 odds. So all of these bets would be crossed markets, right? Even at minus 122 plus 129. So ProfitX, an extremely sharp book, has Javonte Williams is over at plus 129 for thousands of dollars in liquidity. So getting his under in a prize pick slip, either 3-man or a 5-man, 3-pick entries, again, or a 6x payout, which breaks down to minus 122 odds. So that would be a crossed market, plus 129, minus 122. So even though you can't literally arbitrage bet it, for a 3-pick entry, prize picks is giving you minus 122 juice. So we would know one of those 2 bets has to be profitable. So basically on prize picks, you would just pair all of these together. Derrick Henry under in rushing attempts, Javonte Williams under in rushing attempts, Uptown Stout, over 3.5 tackles plus assists. And then you have a very sharp prize picks play. Every play is a cross market at minus 122. I'm not doing a 5-man, even though 5-mans are slightly better in terms of the EV. Again, there's just not 5 picks on prize picks right now. So I'll just run a 3-man where every play is a crossed market against these super sharp exchanges. So on Dabble, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, there's not 3 picks right now. On Better, you want to run 5-pick entries. There's not 5 picks. On Underdog, there's not much either. So the only DFS slip I would lock in right now, there's way more value on sportsbooks, are just these 3 picks. You pair them together into a 3-pick entry. But again, if I go back to FanDuel, I mean, there's limitless plays, and obviously, again, higher liquidity is better. 882 is better, 1,100 is better than 882 because that means these really sharp market makers and trading firms are willing to put more money down on it. So Derrick Henry, under in rushing yards, crossed with ProfitX, no vig, extremely good play. Braden Cooks, under 2.5 receptions. I think I already bet this. ProfitX has the over at plus 109. So again, with OddsJam's one-click bet, so you can see FanDuel's not going to let me bet it. But it's super easy to lock in these plays, long story short. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this tutorial on cross-market EV betting. Comment any questions. And again, thank you so much for your time.